Music enthusiasts, Phil Roy here, and today I'm surfing across your video screen to deliver an overview and my interpretation of the album Tomorrow's Harvest by Boards of Canada. Filming this overview to turn listeners' attention to what I find so captivating about this release. Among seasoned listeners of down-tempo and ambient-leaning electronic music, or IDM, Boards of Canada needs no introduction. Their warm, nostalgic, detailed, and textured soundscapes, achieved through a combination of meticulous layering, production wizardry, and vintage gear, have made them one of the most appreciated and respected artists in electronic music. With a famously enigmatic, reclusive, and mysterious approach, they've cultivated a seriously devoted fan base who read into every public action that they have, sparse as they may be. And it's for good reason that their fan base reads into all this, because 2013's Tomorrow's Harvest was released in conjunction with an ARG/scavenger hunt/cryptography puzzle. As part of this, there were 6 mysterious records that appeared in vinyl shops around the world, and to this date only 4 of them have been found. And if you want to go looking for the final 2 records that are missing, you'd be well justified to do so, because these records have sold for over $2,500 USD on Discogs. But let's talk about the music. The record took some longtime listeners aback with its apocalyptic themes. This was a band that people associated with childhood nostalgia, and they were coming off their warmest and most approachable record yet, 2005's The Campfire Head phase. And for the first 10 seconds of this release, it seems like the good vibes are going to keep coming as they open with a nostalgic horn fanfare, reminiscent of the VHS nature documentaries cited as influences in one of their rare interviews. As I said, I think this is Boards of Canada's most misunderstood release, and it starts with that characterization of the sound as cold. To me, the richness and lushness of the textures defy the cold characterization. The tones are as organic as I've heard in the duo's discography. The bass tones, the harmonic textures, the arpeggios, these ooze with life throughout the record. When talking about the percussive textures, the cold characterization makes more sense. These are glitchier and more metallic than those found in their previous releases. You hear the skittering percussion in the climax of Reach for the Dead, or the ritualistic drums in Palace Posey that are strangely devoid of human feel, the washy, computerized ride cymbals in Come to Dust, most infamously, that abrasive snare in Jacquard Causeway. People really hate that thing. I personally have come to enjoy it. There's a lot of character there. So there is that juxtaposition between warm tones versus colder percussion textures throughout the record, but I don't think you can say the record sounds cold as a blanket statement. This feels like a deeply human record, not one made by computers, and it tells a very vivid story of humanity. And that's one of the most striking things about this record to me. Besides the fact that Boards of Canada are experts in texture and tone, they tell a really cohesive and clear story here in the absence of any lyrics. And they take the listener along from the threat's quiet inception in Gemini to its first victims in Reach for the Dead. Feels like there's a containment effort in White Cyclosa. There's some amazing Foley sound of helicopters that evoke images of a zombie apocalypse. And then Jacquard Causeway is a soundtrack to the failed containment effort, and now the threat is spreading throughout the globe. The middle of the album moves through various scenes of devastation. And scenes feels like the right word here, because the album feels like such a cinematic experience. Get
Palace Posey
with its ritualistic drums and chanting, painting a picture of strange ceremonies arising from humans trying to make sense of the devastation in their new world. Nothing is Real also follows this theme of humans seeking spirituality in order to make sense of their suffering. New Seeds offers optimistic visions of rebuilding. That's followed by the final 2 tracks, Come to Dust and Semena Mrtvik. And these last two tracks offer an ambiguous ending. Come to Dust is the climax of the record, and by its end offers a sense of finality. It's unclear as a listener, however, whether the sense of finality comes from humanity conquering the apocalyptic threat or the apocalypse completely wiping out humanity. I see the final track as a somber epilogue that looks over the ruin of society. Whether you interpret Come to Dust as the end of humanity or the end of the threat, nothing will ever be the same. So Tomorrow's Harvest is a pretty bleak record in its themes, but unlike some albums with heavy, sad, or depressing themes, Tomorrow's Harvest is so sonically pleasing that it becomes a fun and incredibly replayable experience. The brothers Mike and Marcus are at the absolute peak of their production powers on Tomorrow's Harvest and have created compositions as detailed and emotional as their devoted fans have come to expect. With their most cinematic soundscapes and coherent storytelling to date, this is not one to be overlooked, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I want to hear from you now. Do you agree with my interpretation of the record? Did I miss anything interesting? What would you like me to review next? If you enjoyed this, I'll be reviewing more electronic music and possibly Boards of Canada to come, so hit that subscribe button, give that video a like, it would help me a lot, and till next time, thanks for watching.